Howdy, this is Zach Ramirez speaking. I'm here to show you my life story. As a kid, I grew up with just too much energy. In my elementary school times, I started love skateboarding. Also, I got into gymnastics, and when I got older, I got into practicing parkour. I was simply going on a hike with my college roommates at Gregory Canyon Trailhead. Back at the time, 2018, I got really addicted to the sport free solo climbing. On this day, on this hike, I saw a spot that was begging me to start climbing up. Unfortunately, I lost my grip, which made me fall 20 feet onto my head. Then, after that impact, my buddy rolled down an additional 40 more feet to the stop. After a whole lot of therapy work, I used to call it a good old-fashioned therapy party. I got the opportunity to meet other brain injury survivors at a camping trip. On the first trip, I got introduced to a person who was connected with an adaptive ski and snowboard program. He's heard about my past as a boarder. He told me and my dad that he would get me on a board that season. After the great success from my snowboarding, my family wanted to travel and stay in Florida. Everybody was pretty psyched for that trip, but I also was lacking on my swimming skills. So a therapist recommended taking lessons at Craig Hospital, which we are very familiar with. The lessons went down very well, and I was basically Shark Boy in the water. Being a brain injury survivor, my new anthem is to just research programs online and just stay connected. I saw on Facebook an advertisement for a Craig Hospital serving trip in Hawaii. I applied at that time and waited for a while for a response. The requirements are to go is you should be good at swimming, which I am now, and a Craig grad. I got invited and rallied mom and dad to go to Hawaii with me. After writing and producing this film, it made me think about how's my family feeling about everything that has happened to me and how it progressed. That is why I had them sit down with me and answer my interview questions for them. This is my little sister, Satya.
Hello.
It has been over 5 years of my recovery. Do you think I'm still Zach?
Yeah, I would definitely say you're still the same old Zach in some ways, and then you've changed in others. Some of the same things are your humor. You've always been really funny and cracking jokes at any time, and I think you still do that. And our legendary dance parties together. That's still the same. And then some new ways, I think, since your accident and everything, you've definitely become an even more caring human being. So that's a really great thing that's come from us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
The answer is actually my next question.
Okay.
It's been this current year 2024. How do you feel about me now?
Yeah. So I would say I always looked up to you as an older brother, and I still look up to you. And just now, with everything you're doing since your accident, I always look to you to think about, like, I can be confident going into my day because you're always confident going into everything that you do.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
This is my dad, Ed Ramirez.
Hi, Zach.
It has been over 5 years of recovery. Do you still think I'm Zach? Am I still Zach?
Yeah, I think in certain aspects you are Zach. In other words, it's taken like 5 years since your accident to realize how you've come back with your memory and your personality has come back. And some examples are you're very motivated, you like to do things, and you're very focused when you like things, you're really focused on getting that done. I've seen other aspects like caringness. You still care for your family. I think families, since your accident has been helping you along, and you've been very thankful for all the work we've been doing, your sister, your mother, myself, and even our pet Pebble. So things like that. I think those personality traits and your caringness has come back.
Yeah. At the time of my TBI, October 16th, 2018, what do you think, what are your thoughts about me back then?
Back then, I think you were in college back then. I think a lot of things you took for granted. In other words, you were kind of like not appreciating certain things. I kind of noticed back then. Took things for granted, not appreciating things. And I don't, you cared for the family, but it was a different aspect back then. You're free going, you love sports, you love challenges, you like kind of like doing, you're very free spirited, love doing things like that. And sometimes I'm more of a risk taker back then. Since then, I know you kind of matured since then.
Now it's 2024. How do you feel about me now?
Nowadays, I think you definitely more caring, you have more empathy, you kind of living your life, which I think you destined for in terms of you care about what you want to do on a day-by-day basis. I think you have some more stronger goals. Emotionally, you're getting better emotionally. I think you're improving in that aspect of it. And physically, you're dealing with some deficits, but you're handling it day by day, and I think you're doing way better. I appreciate you working with the family and working with all the people who are helping you to move forward from this recovery, and I think that's great. I think you're very appreciative of what you're given, and you don't take things for granted anymore, and that's huge. And you definitely matured since then.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Mom's take for the questions. It has been over 5 years of recovery. Do you still think I'm Zach?
Oh yes, definitely you're still Zach, and we see that more and more all the time. When you were a little kid, you loved skateboarding, and I remembered when you were determined to learn a trick, you would go outside and you would practice and practice. It didn't matter how many times you fell, you'd be jumping off of ramps, and you just keep doing it for hours until you got it. And I see that determination coming through in your recovery, and you don't let obstacles stop you. You just figure out how to get around them, and you don't give up. That's part of what I see that you had always as a young person too. The other thing is you have a ton of personality. You and I always share some of the same sense of humor, and we like to make silly jokes about things. And you're really quick. I just sometimes can't even believe how fast you come back with a retort to something. And so we have a good time laughing about all these jokes that maybe nobody else would find funny, but we always do. So that's another big thing that I see coming through in your personality. That was always, that's all Zach.
At the time of my TBI, October 16th, 2018, what are your thoughts about me back then?
Well, that day was so devastating. My sympathy to any parent or person who has to go through this with their loved one. It was not optimistic. We thought the first goal was for you to live, and that required surgery, and we just had to pray and wait. We didn't know what kind of person would come out of this operation. Then it took a lot of patience because the recovery period is super long for a traumatic brain injury of that severity. And the hospital did not give us any prognosis to be overly optimistic. They really couldn't. So we just had to really be patient. I mean, you were in a coma for weeks, and then even when you came home at 6.5 months of being in the hospital, you could hardly communicate, and you were confused because with the brain injury, it's hard to understand what's going on. and you were incapacitated. You had to be in a wheelchair. You had to learn to walk. You had to learn to eat again, which seemed like an amazing thing that someone doesn't just doesn't know how to eat, but we had to work with a speech therapist to get you back onto how to eat so that you didn't choke, and then so many things, so many steps to the progress. And the first 2 years were very difficult for your recovery. I don't think I was overly optimistic at that time. It seemed we wanted quality of life. After we got you stable, you stayed alive and you were stable, we wanted quality of life. And now we want everything for you because you've gotten through all those dark days and you're back in school, you're snowboarding, you've gone surfing, you're doing so many things you love to do, you have friends, you have very high quality of life, and so now we want everything for you. So I think now we're in a very big place of optimism, but not at the time of your accident. That was just survival.
Thank you, Mom. I almost forgot. Don't forget Grandpa Russ's advice.
Bend your knees and don't cross the skis.